So here's a mess I'm working on. This is my old keyboard setup that I've had for years and years and years. It's been unused, but this year I need it. I need to put it together. I've got my old DX7 set up on that X stand, but I have ordered a dual keyboard stand that will accommodate a set of pedals down below. So I have two keyboards and pedals eventually on this system. I have to play a funeral this month, and I am also asked to play the Futurity Horse Show again in September. And my other instrument, my ELX1, is at the Railroad Museum where I play for the cocktail hour and dinner train. So I'm working on this. Two Roland modules in there, a multiverb. That's for the DX7 because the DX7 is mono. It comes out much better if I put it in through the multiverb. My Roland mixer, my very old MT32, which believe it or not works real well. And probably the pedals, whatever MIDI pedals I come up with, will play that. But here, what a mess. Over here this is one of my pair of custom speakers. I've had these for many years and played the daylights out of them. There's a problem. And the problem is the driver, the treble driver in this one has distortion. Now, I replaced the original drivers that were in here, which were junk. But and I also originally had this hooked up for two amplifiers so that I could run the treble horn separately using this. If you look right below, that's a Rainy active crossover. But I'm not going to do that. I've only got one power amp down below, that Ross power amp. So what I did is I used a 14 mic 50 volt non-polarized electrolytic to block the bass to the horn. One of two things is wrong. Either the driver is going bad, which is very, very possible, or the capacitor I put in, it was one that was on my parts bin for a lot of years. The capacitor is no good. So the first thing I need to do is find out why I'm getting distortion, and the only way that I can do that is the other speaker, the treble is clear. Treble is just fine in that speaker. But in this one it distorts. So I'm going to switch them. And I'm going to see if the distortion moves over to that one. If it does, then it's the driver. If it doesn't, if I still get, you're probably getting dizzy from the way I'm panning this. If it still distorts here, then it's the crossover capacitor, and then I'm going to get a better crossover for it. So here's the inside of the offending speaker. That's the driver, a PV driver 22XT, a nice 15-inch bass speaker. The bass speaker is just fine. It doesn't distort or rattle or anything. But the driver, and if you look here, you can see my 14 mic bass blocker capacitor. That's kind of a feeble thing in this. I probably could get by with getting a two-way crossover meant for cars, high wattage, 300 watts. You know, probably would work just fine in this. But I don't know if that driver's gone bad or not, so I'm going to switch it. And here's the inside of the one that doesn't distort. I didn't do as neat of a job in my wiring as I did on the other one, I see. Oh well, it is what it is. So I'm going to just take these drivers and I'm going to switch them. And then see if the distortion moves with the driver. If it doesn't, then I know it's that capacitor. I probably will get professional made or better made two-way crossovers for this either way. I just didn't like that single capacitor idea. Originally that's what was in here when I had different drivers in there, which the drivers were bad. But let's see if I can find out what's wrong, if it's either the capacitor or if it's the driver. Here's a non-distorting driver out of the cabinet. That's what it looks like, basically. Pretty heavy. So it seems like I switched the drivers, and guess what, folks? I don't have distortion out of either one, at least not that I can hear it. Well, what do I say? See, I don't hear any distortion now, and that tweeter is working in that one. The connections were right and tight. Nothing came out of the driver, fell out when I unscrewed it. I mean, I didn't see a piece of junk or anything come out of there. What could... Don't... This is one of those situations where you don't question it, you just accept it. She says, no, no, no. No one would know who made that song and when. Like the doll that says, no, no, no. Let's see. Pipes. Whoops. It's a good DX7. I don't care what anybody said. That was a great keyboard when it came out, and you know, it still is. I'm not sure what I'm going to end up using when I get this thing all done, but I can't figure out why the distortion went away when I switched the drivers. The connections were fine. Maybe I didn't have the other driver screwed in all the way, I don't know, and the gasket was rattling. It was so noticeable when I had it. Let me try it here again. Turn the volume all the way up. I can't hear the distortion, folks. I don't know why, but I'm happy. In fact, I'm not even going to worry about the crossover for now. But these old custom speakers sat in my back shed, unused, for years and years and years. And originally, like I say, I had them wired for 2 amplifiers, treble and bass, which didn't work right. Those treble drivers really don't need a power amplifier. They don't sound right. You really need to do that with a mid-range and tweeter crossover for the second amplifier, and then just one big bass speaker for the bass section. I think that's the best way to work it. Anyways, I'm making progress on this system. So anyways, this is all my equipment I've had laying around here, put back, or put in the case at least, so it's not just sitting out. My 2 DAT recorders, which by today's standards are probably useless. As Techmoan on YouTube said, that the recorder debt got away, something like that. My patch bay down here, which probably used for nothing, and of course the power amplifier down below. I'll be testing some of this stuff out. I'm not sure about the modules. I should probably put MIDI into one or both of those and see how they work. I'm trying my top JV1080. Get the volume up on this. And I don't get any sound out. I'm getting MIDI in, but no sound out. Let me turn the levels up. No sound out of there, so apparently I don't have it on the right MIDI channel, so I have to work that out to find out what MIDI channel I'm working with. I think I have this top unit set to, I'm thinking maybe MIDI channel 4. I'll go through the MIDI. I'll change the MIDI out of the DX7 and see if I can find it. So here's my top JV 1080 module. I think I have all the expansion cards slots filled, but this is the user section. Really nice jazz guitar in it. And let's see, jazz guitar, West Coast. There's so many sounds in this thing. This is a pretty sound, the first one. And let's see, the expansion cards. Expansion card A, warm violins. Let's try B. Card C. Well, anyways, that's both these JVC or JV 1080 modules are identical, except I have several expansion cards in the top one. I don't even remember what I put in. Got to remember, I've had this stuff for years and years and years. This is a Roland D10, kind of old. Let me turn the module down. Turn up the Roland. Some of these sounds are not in here anymore. The previous owner, I think, wiped them out, but I have the cards for this. I do have the cards. I should get the card out and put the card in once. So here's the church organ sound on my D10. I think the electric pianos sound better on my DX7 than they do on this D10. Anyways, I'm going to cut it off here right now. That's enough fooling around. The modules all work. Everything works on this stuff. It's amazing. It's sat around for years. So I'm sort of resurrecting it.